Mysteries of History Revealed. Dinosaurs to Extraterrestrials, Jeremy Aldeny, copyright 2014, all rights reserved. And this is continuing. This is number 8, starting on page 41. These conclusions are supported by my observations that the predominant rhyolitic volcanic ash in the Mesozoic strata would date older than predominant Cenozoic basaltic volcanic ash because of its composition rather than its age. Conference confirms results and skeptics suppress the information. Dr. Thomas Salier, a physicist from Germany, gave the presentation at the conference of the American Geophysical Union, AGU, and the Asia-Oceania Geosciences Society, AOGS, in Singapore on the carbon-14 dating of dinosaur bones. He says that his team and the laboratories they employed took special care to avoid contamination that included protecting the samples, avoiding cracked areas in the dinosaur bones, and meticulous pre-cleansing of the samples with chemicals to remove contaminants. Knowing that small concentrations of collagen can attract contamination, they compared precision accelerator mass spectrometry, AMS, tests of collagen and bioapatite hard carbonate bone material with conventional counting methods of large bone fragments from the same dinosaurs. Quote, comparing such entirely different molecules as minerals and organics from the same bone region, we obtained concordant carbon-14 signals which were well below the upper limits of carbon-14 dating. These, together with many other remarkable signal coordinates between samples from different fossils, geographic regions, and stratigraphic positions, make random contamination as origin of the carbon-14 signals unlikely, end quotes, he notes. Continuing quote, if dinosaur bones are 65 million years old, there should not be one atom of carbon-14 left in them, end quote. Secular paleontologists confirm dinosaur flesh preserved in petrified fossils. Reference, carbon-14 dating dinosaur bones, newgeology.us, presentation 48, HTML. Many dinosaur bones are not fossilized. Dr. Mary Schweitzer, Associate Professor of Marine Earth and Atmospheric Sciences at North Carolina State University. Quote, many dinosaur bones are not fossilized, Dr. Mary Schweitzer, Associate Professor of Marine Earth Atmospheric Sciences at North Carolina State University, surprised scientists in 2005 when she reported finding soft tissue in dinosaur bones. She started a firestorm of controversy in 2007 and 2008, which reported that she had sequenced proteins in dinosaur bones. Critics charged that the findings were mistaken, or that what she called soft tissue was really biofilm produced by bacteria that had entered from outside the bone. Schweitzer answered the challenge by testing with antibodies. Her report in 2009 confirmed the presence of collagen and other proteins that bacteria do not make. Also in 2009, the team of Dr. Phil Wilby discovered a fossilized squid that contained a sac of ink so well preserved that it could be used in a pen for writing. A lot like Mary Anning, one of the first fossil collectors back in the, I think it was 1800s, was found in a rock that is considered to be 150 million years old. Note, late Jurassic dinosaur strata. In 2011, a Swedish team found soft tissue and biomolecules in the bones of a mosasaur. Now, if they found this on Mars or something, or on the moon, they would say, we have found life has evolved in the universe. But no, they deny this because it contradicts their theory. Continuing, a large marine reptile, that is the mosasaur, a large marine reptile that swam in shallow ocean waters. They assume it was shallow ocean waters, that is. Schweitzer herself has no explanation of how these organic materials could survive when they should be totally degraded. That is, they are over 65 million years old. And they break down like, uranium dating. It breaks down over time. But these obviously didn't. Shows the time wasn't that long. The limit of carbon-14 dating by the increased accuracy of the AIMS method, AMS, has increased it to 100,000 years and made it possible to test smaller samples, which was not possible before. In spite of this, dinosaur bones date to 22,000 to 39,000 years old. Quote, continuing quote, combined with the discovery of soft tissue indicate that something is very wrong. The AOGS-AGU assembly claims they encourage the presentation of reliable data even though the topic may be controversial. Quote, this is a very wise policy for the advancement of science and education of people everywhere, agreed Dr. Jean de Ponchara, one of 10 co-authors and an atomic physicist recently retired from the Grenoble Research Center of the French Atomic Energy Commission, and Professor Dr. Robert Bennett, physicist and co-author. Quote, thus, we encourage our colleagues to do their own carbon dating of dinosaur bones from museums and university fossil repositories around the world, as well as testing for carbon-14 in scrapings from dinosaur bones as they are excavated. We are anxious to see their results presented, just as we have done, end quote. This is the policy of science, to test and retest results, to confirm or refute results, and sometimes the freedom of speech and the press has to be called in. Quote, also, we call on the news media and citizens everywhere to urge paleontologists, curators, university faculty, and government scientific agencies to engage and support further testing for carbon-14 content in dinosaur remains. Scientists need to know the actual chronology of the Earth and the age of the fossils, end quote. In spite of this, the results were removed from their website. Massive volcanic eruptions typical of Morrison Formation, which contains dinosaurs. It's famous for its dinosaurs. Dinosaur National Monument is a typical example of the Jurassic Morrison Formation. The first-time visitor to the Visitor Center in Utah's Dinosaur National Monument is stunned by the sight of the massive pile of partially articulated dinosaur skeletons in an upturned vertical slab of rock. The quarry face is the best in situ dinosaur display in the world. This tangled logjam of dinosaur bones represents a typical deposit of dinosaur bones. This Jurassic deposit goes from New Mexico to Canada, just like other formations of the Cambrian, Carboniferous, Permian, Triassic, Cretaceous, which stretch across the United States like tidal impacts in a rainbow arch effect. Morrison Formation alone covers 700,000 square miles. We do not find Cenozoic post-flood fossils producing arch deposits. They are found scattered at random sites, always near the surface. The brushy basin member of the Morrison Formation is mainly silica-rich rhyolitic volcanic ash, representing explosive volcanism on a huge scale. Technical papers by established paleontologists state 3 products of explosive volcanoes dominate the brushy basin member of the Morrison Formation. Quote, Discrete tuff beds up to 20 inches thick contain up to half-inch diameter volcanic fragments accumulated from airfall ash. Turner. C. Turner, that is fish and Fishman and that is Jurassic Lake Tuolitchi, a large alkaline saline lake, Morrison Formation, eastern Colorado Plateau, Geological Society of American Bulletin, volume 103, pages 538 to 558. 2. Reddish or green fine-grained altered volcanic ash redeposited by water in massive beds. 14. Wallstrom E. 1966. Geochemistry and Petrology of the Morrison Formation. Dillon, Colorado. Geological Society of America Bulletin, volume 77, pages 727 to 740. And 3. Pebbles of volcanic tuff and sirt, some over 1 inch in diameter, dispersed through the water-worked sandstone, accounts for over 50% of the 470-foot thick brushy basin member at DNM 15 Bilby S. 1992, Stratigraphy and Sedimentary Petrology of the Upper Jurassic Lower Cretaceous Rocks at Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry with a comparison to the Dinosaur National Monument Quarry, Utah, PhD dissertation, University of Utah, page 280. A staggering quantity of volcanic materials estimated at over 4,000 cubic miles. Turner C. and Peterson F. 1992, Sedimentology and Stratigraphy of the Morrison Formation in Dinosaur National Monument, Utah and Colorado. Annual Report of the National Park Service, unpublished. Contract number CA 1463-50001 in cooperation with the U.S. Geological Survey, 80 pages. And Life magazine, September 1953. Area of bushy basin volcanism exceeds 120,000 square miles in eastern Utah, northeastern Utah, Arizona, and northern New Mexico, western Colorado, and southern Wyoming. Thickness of volcanism averages around 200 feet through this area, end quote. How can so many scientists be wrong? Since there is so much evidence that the dinosaurs and other animals and plants became extinct because of worldwide massive volcanic eruptions and floods, why do secular paleontologists claim they don't know what happened? It is because this evidence would support the biblical worldview catastrophe theory. They are being forced to support atheistic philosophy. See the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. As a fact of science, it is the only thing that is considered an absolute in this interpretation of science. I will explain and prove their political purpose for doing this later. Here is what the atheists believe. Some of the signers of the Humanist Manifesto included Edwin H. Colbert, paleontologist. He was the leading paleontologist for the Natural History Museum in New York, as well as Carl Sagan and Stephen Jay Gould, Arthur C. Clarke, Francis Crick, Eugenie Scott, etc. Eugenie Scott is the head of the Center for Science Education, which runs an organization that attacks creationists. They try to suppress any knowledge of creation going to the public. Humanism is best described by the humanists themselves in the Humanist Manifesto 1, published in 1933 from the American Humanist Association. First, religious humanists regard the universe as self-existing and not created. Second, humanism believes that man is part of nature and that he has emerged as a result of a continuous process. Third, holding an organic, materialist that is, view of life, humanists find that the traditional dualism of mind and body must be rejected. In other words, we're just physical chemicals. There is no spirit. There is no afterlife. Third, Fourth, humanism recognizes that man's religious culture and civilization, as clearly depicted by anthropology and history, is the product of a gradual development due to this interaction with his natural environment, with his social heritage. Oh, he's been brainwashed. The individual born into a particular culture is largely molded by that culture and blinded, and I may add, blinded to the real truth. Fifth, humanism asserts that nature of the universe depicted by modern science makes unacceptable any supernatural or cosmic guarantees of human values. And quote from the humanists. Therefore, any rights under the Constitution or the Bible are null and void, because there is no God to grant them. The foundation of all totalitarian organization, man is God. Especially the guy at the top, the Antichrist. The rest are slaves, actually. But we won't tell them that, And its leader is the highest God of all. You can see this as is atheistic philosophy. A creator does not exist. Man is a machine created by a random process of nature and will evolve toward a socialist world government machine where there are no human rights, values, or freedoms. A dictatorship with no God-given rights, only privileges granted by the strongest, cruelest, and fittest of the democratic socialist mob. The Bible warns this leader will be the Antichrist, the counterfeit Christ. Hitler fully supported this philosophy and asked Charles Darwin to allow him to write the foreword for his book. Darwin refused because it would have exposed their real motives as part of his secret societies involved in the New World Order conspiracy. The only absolute in science. Scientists interpret everything to fit the religious belief in evolution. Time is God. Chronos, another name for Satan, the idol of humanists. They never question it. They ignore anything that proves it false. Computer technology says garbage in, garbage out. If you put in false information, then you'll get the correct answer, but it will be wrong. For example, I bought something at a store and the price was wrong. The checker said, "No, the machine is never wrong." It turns out that she had put in the wrong amount. Both your information and your calculations must both be correct. In other words, both your assumptions of fact, hypotheses, and your system of science must be accurate to find the truth. Since evolution theory has so many errors and evolutionists rely on it as a fact, they come to a lot of wrong conclusions. I will continue this in the next section.